Hi. Today's video is going to be a little different, I think, because this is the second time that I've had to go to the ER in 2 days. So, I think the best way to start this is by explaining my symptoms that have been ongoing since October 2020. Maybe this will help someone else out there. This is not meant to diagnose someone because I myself am still, to this day, undiagnosed except for IBD. That's all they can give me. IBD and fractured pars on L5, the base of my spine. But all of this began in 2020 with an ER visit, actually. It started with shortness of breath, intense sweats and fever. Those lasted for about 10 minutes to 2 hours was the longest that time. Hey, stop. My cats, sorry. And of course, every time that happened, I think I probably went to the ER for probably 7 or 8 times during the first 2 months that I was having all of these sudden, symptoms. And for background, I am a type 2 diabetic. I've been type 2 diabetic for over 20 years now. And unfortunately, for about 10 of those, I never really cared to take care of myself, let alone, a disease that I feel like I sort of denied for a while because I was diagnosed at 18. And, you want to continue to live your life unrestricted, once you are able to go out on your own and explore the world, especially if you've grown up in some sort of turmoil or trauma. That freedom is, that first taste of freedom is amazing after you've left behind everything that has shackled you. For me, that was in my home. So, of course, I was going to deny all that, and I was just going to do whatever I felt was right and whatever I enjoyed. Sometimes, of course, I do dwell on the past. I am human. I am only human, and we all dwell in the past, and we have regrets and mistakes, and we think, what if, right? What if I wouldn't have done this? What if I wouldn't have done that? Maybe I wouldn't have been in this situation now. And that's normal. It's normal. Sorry, I deviated a little. Throughout these whole ER visits and such, they did keep testing me regularly for COVID-19, and it was always negative. It always came back negative. So after that, I started to develop lumps and masses throughout, like, my lower and upper abdomen, just everywhere, like, in general. And I could feel them. Even now, today, I can feel them, like, throughout my digestive tract, like these, like, little masses, like little, kind of like spheres. To this day, they've just been left diagnosed as lipomas. Of course, I'm overweight, so I understand that. But what I don't understand is how they just became so prominent, over a short period of time. And, as they grew in, they were a little painful, but now, like, I don't really have any more pain. And it seems like at least superficially, the lumps have stopped multiplying. I don't know. That's so strange. I'm just putting out like what I'm literally feeling in my body. Throughout this whole time since 2020, I've been living with chronic pain. And it varies anywhere from like 0 to 8 probably on within the same day, by the way. I can go from 0 to 8 to anywhere in between within the same day. And this is day in and day out since 2020. So it's been a bit of a journey. You know. These pains, you know, of course, some of them have felt like horrible cramps. I do have a lot of comorbidities, so it's very difficult for someone like me to be able to find out what symptoms overlap, what symptoms come from my actual established diseases already, which are type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, gosh, what else? Anxiety and depression, and now IBD, I guess. So it's been very difficult to manage everything. And it feels like, unfortunately, it feels like the symptoms are not lessening. They are increasing gradually, mind you, but still, you know, they are increasing. Now, this is my biggest concern right now. And I'm just going to be honest about it because this is reality that I am living here in the United States as a 37-year-old person on state Medicare. You can have whatever opinions you want. Under my circumstances, that's all I can have right now. State Medicare. So, I was able to have a colonoscopy in 2022 after all of these symptoms. And they removed 6 precancerous polyps. And they found diverticulosis. And they found a hiatal hernia. And they found gastritis. And they found slight thickening of my stomach lining. Just a little section. But no one was ever alarmed about this. I had to read about my diverticulosis in the report. I had a call a week later out of the blue just telling me, hey, just letting you know that the polyps that we sent over for biopsy, they came back precancerous. So you might want to schedule a regular colonoscopy every 3 years from now on. Just like that. It was just dropped. And that's fine, you know, everyone is overworked. The entire system is overworked. Everyone is tired and everyone is annoyed. So just know that you have to do a lot of your own advocating. You know what I mean. I didn't get any medication prescriptions to treat any of this stuff, by the way, and I still really I don't really have any form to reliably get all of the pain and all of the symptoms under control. So I just manage them as best as I can. So of course, throughout this whole time, I have had countless CT scans. I've had one MRI, but I just don't understand. And my body, me as a person, I feel that there's something, pretty wrong with me. And at this point, I've been considering, obviously, malignancies, obviously cancer. That's always on my mind. It's always on my mind. And just, it was an ER visit before yesterday, because I've gone to the ER, like I said, in the past 2 days. I've had to go. And I went to the ER 2 days ago, and I don't know why I'm blanking out. I'm trying to get my story straight. I went to the ER to get a CT scan because I have not been able to eat comfortably suddenly, because then I get sort of early satiety, and then it feels like my stomach immediately starts to produce gas, and then my entire digestive tract is very rumbly, but there's no pain until it gets down lower to, like, down maybe the intestines, your lower quadrants. Then sometimes I will get intense cramps that remind me of like the initial cramps that I used to have. And my hypoglycemia is back, which is, now I know, is the night sweats. It usually happens between 1 and 3 a.m. because that's when your blood sugars start to drop again. You get tremors, you can't think very clearly. And by the way, if you ever get hypoglycemia at onset, the easiest way to solve that is to do the 15-15 trick, which is half a cup of water with 1 tablespoon of sugar mixed well, drink it, wait 15 minutes, and then your blood sugar should regulate. And if it doesn't, and you still feel your symptoms, then you can go ahead and drink another half cup with tablespoon of sugar, and just repeat that until you feel better. And it's very effective. So I've been having to use that myself for the past week now. So that's another concern too, I keep going into hypoglycemia. But again, like, I don't know what to make out of this. Throughout this whole time, I've had constant burping, gassiness, the pains come and go no matter if I eat or not, by the way. It doesn't matter if I eat or not. My stools have been different, like, forever. They're just always forever changing. It's not always like diarrhea or a soft stool or a normal one, although I do have normal ones too, so that's a little reassuring. And I've been mostly vegetarian since, even before all of this started, because I have been actively trying to make changes. Throughout this whole time, I've had reactive lymph nodes, or what, at least that's what they call them, all over my body. Most notably, like, under my chin, like around my clavicle. Come on, mama. And they just come and go. Sometimes they will, they will swell up, and sometimes they are fine, but I don't think they've ever fully gone back to their normal size. And I've been to dermatologists, I've been to ENTs, I've had so much imaging done. I'm so tired of the imaging. Like at this point, if the, if I didn't have a malignancy itself of my own accord, I feel like all of the imaging itself that I have done might have already caused it. So it's just ridiculous. I've also become slightly anemic since 2022. But I don't have blood in my stool very often. I can count maybe during this whole time, it's been 6 years now, maybe like 3 times I've had very little spotting. So that's another thing that's a little reassuring. And also, as I said, I am a vegetarian, so I don't know if that could play into anemia, although it doesn't. Now that I think about it, that does not sound at all correct. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of all this. But anyways, I've also had a lot of like inflamed connective tissue around my joints. I've had biopsies of anything that they can take. And it's all come back negative. My biggest concern now is the CT scan. I keep deviating from this. The CT scan that I had 2 days ago, the radiologist was so nice to me. And you know people. If you know people and you know how to read them, you can tell. The radiologist had she was so sweet. She was so engaging. And then I went into the CT scan and she did her thing. And then she came back out. And initially it looked like she hadn't changed at all. Her demeanor, she was pretty good for the first like 5 seconds. But I think that she might have let slip something she didn't mean to, and I don't blame her for that, because she said, you really need to take really good care of your kidneys, for any upcoming treatments you might have. And I said, oh, at that moment, my brain just froze. But I had to respond, and I was like, okay, what do you, thank you. And then she said, yeah, just make sure that you can get things in you and drink and eat well so you can stay strong. And she didn't know because she was only the radiologist. But the reason I had gone in is, again, because I have been having issues eating and even drinking. And then I suddenly have these symptoms will show up. And I told her, but I can't eat. What do you mean? And then she froze up a little, and then she didn't know how to, she had to think of a way to recover and bring the conversation back. And she said, oh, what I mean is, just drink and so you can get all the contrast out of your system. And I couldn't help it. I broke down at that moment when she said when she faltered, and you know, and she was just there, and she's tried to comfort me without saying anything at the same time. And she said, "Oh, honey, the journey, it's gonna be so amazing, and you're gonna be such a hero." And I told her that that no one has helped me and I'm still undiagnosed. And she said, "You don't know that." And she led me back to my room, the the room where I was with my partner waiting for me there. And I was just sort of catatonic for, I was catatonic, and then I started to break down a little, but this only gave me like 5 minutes before the actual ER doctor came in. And he had a completely different demeanor. He was so relaxed. He didn't seem, and not in a bad way, mind you. He was very kind. He was very amicable and very knowledgeable, but he was an ER doctor. And the CT scan report that he gave me back only said that there were no acute processes. And he said, "You are fine, that we don't see any blockages or anything." But that's all he said. And I was like, "Are you sure that you're reading the right results?" And I was like, "My name." I gave him my name. And he said, "Yeah, that's you. You're fine. You can go home." And so we just went home. And then now yesterday, I had another bout of shortness of breath, followed by a feeling of like pressure on this right side of behind my collarbone, maybe, or something. I was beginning to feel like I wasn't getting enough oxygen, and my numbs were my my hands were starting to get a little numb. Yeah, and so we had to race 40 minutes to the nearest ER yesterday. And the symptoms resolved at the ER. I was there for 4 hours and they resolved while I was waiting. And of course, they did blood work, they did an x-ray, and everything came back fine. So now I just have to wait until the 15th. 4 more days. Until I get to my main doctor. And then apparently she has the full report of my CT scan, and she'd be able to tell me if they missed anything, or, I don't know. Yeah. This has been a very long video today. I'm sorry, but I feel that it's important to try to get all these symptoms out in my story in general, to see if anyone else is going through it, and at least to give some form of hope, I've been here for 6 years since all of these symptoms began, so that's some sort of reassurance, right? I love me, and I love you, and we deserve this life. I hope you have something to smile about today.